Hi everyone. I'm back here today with a quick video game development tip for you. Um, so I just wanted to tell you a little bit about what I'm working on and the tip that I have for you. So, um, I have been making or remaking some games in GDevelop, as you've probably seen if you've looked at my videos over the past couple of months. Main reason is because they have a web version in GDevelop where you can export your game to a browser format so people can play without having to download stuff. Um, so right now, one of my more successful games that people have actually liked called Brain Bouncer, I'm working on putting that in GDevelop for a browser version. And my tip here is um, whenever possible, if you can somehow store or write out the data for your different levels to a text file or something that's outside of your game engine, that's going to really help you, particularly if you need to um, redo the game in a different tool or engine. All right. So what do I mean by like the level data? So I'm just going to show you some screenshots. So this is the game version of the game is on Amazon Kindle. And I just have like the screenshots for that game listing page. And some of the screenshots are some of the different levels in the game, right? So you could see that on each screenshot, there's different objects, right? There's a ball, there's blocks, there's like these shapes and stuff. And they also, each different level also has different backgrounds, right? Background images. Okay. So what I mean by write out the level data is to somehow you need to have a text file of some sort that has the name of each object and the location of where it is on the screen, and then other information such as like the name of the background file that you want to use, the background image, and things like that, right? And one of the reasons, and there's other data here that I have for each level too, but those are some of the common things that I think you might run into with your game. So the reason why I am suggesting this is because right now I've gone through, or after doing the GDevelop version, I will have gone through three different tools of making different versions of this game. So when I first made the game, it was in Game Maker Studio. Right now, I'm doing an expanded version in Monogame, which uses the C# programming language, because one of the things I want to do, well, there's a couple of new features I want to add that I couldn't really do in Game Maker. Um, and then now, of course, there's GDevelop, right? So like rather than having to go into GDevelop and make all these games again from scratch and drag and drop like all the blocks and all the objects onto the scene, um, I when I made the game in Game Maker, I added a quick bit of code that would write out to a text file, all the object and level data, right? So GDevelop allows you to read text, and there's a way to use that text to rebuild a level without having to. You can rebuild the level via code without having to manually build the levels out again, right? And then in Monogame and C#, it doesn't have a visual level editor. And let me show you what I mean by visual level editor. Let me go ahead and um, show you my GDevelop screen here. Okay. Um, yeah, so there's a level editor. This is where you can visually like pull out things. So, right now I have my ball and my blocks and stuff like that. And you saw those screenshots. So if I had to manually drag like all the blocks and put them in place, and I'd have to know the exact positions of all of them and everything. that would be really difficult to do, right? Um, so being able to take that level data with you between different engines or tools will really save you a lot of time. And I'm not going to go exactly into detail about how I'm doing that in GDevelop. Maybe that would be like a separate video, but just know that if you have a way to externalize your level data, that's going to be really helpful. And another tip that I really want to share with you related to that is the format. So let me change my screen share again. I want to go back to this window um, because I want to show you something here. So you don't want to just do plain text, just plain old text with any old format. I would suggest using something called JSON. All right. And there's a really good tutorial about it on W3 Schools. And I'll post a link to that. But JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. Okay. And it's basically a text format for storing and transporting data, like it says here. And basically, the idea is that you have different objects in your software or your game, and those objects have characteristics or data associated with them, right? So, like the example they give here is a person. This person might have a name, an age, and a car, right? And those are three properties that they have, and each property has a value. This person's name is John. He's 30, and his car is null, which means he does not have a car, right? Null is like empty. All right. So, if you're thinking about level data, your big object, rather than the person might be the level, and then you might have like sub um, properties or sub objects even. So the level might have a background image, for instance, and the property, the background property would store like the name of the background image file or something like that, right? Then it might have a group of block or wall objects, and each of those wall objects might have a position, an X and a Y position. Okay. So JSON is a really good way to capture that information. All right. So once you get to see the link to this tutorial, I would recommend, just reading through it a little bit. And then particularly the JSON objects um, tutorial, and you can get from the link here on the side. It really tells you how to get into the down and dirty details about how to actually make objects in JSON. Okay. And if this is new to you, JSON is new to you, know also that it is pretty quick to pick up, but it's also a very good tool to use in any software development environment. So I use it a lot for work where I do non-game stuff. It's good for web development. Another bonus is that if you're using JavaScript for like web browsers, um, JavaScript has built-in ways to work with JSON, like parsing it or reading the JSON, and then converting it to a piece of text. Okay, so I think it's called parse JSON.parse and JSON.stringify, right? So, really good to know just for a programmer's tool set, right? And I was even able to use JSON in monogame because there was a C sharp library in Visual Studio that allowed me to use JSON in C sharp and monogame. Okay, so JSON is a common format that you can use between different tools. So, um, all right, so that is my quick game dev tip for you today. Um, and let me just show you really quickly that I was able to start getting the. Let me go back to my GDevelop. I was able to start getting some of the level data into GDevelop. I don't have all of it, but like here, you can see I've got one of the levels with the blocks and the ball in the background and everything. So I don't have everything, but it's a good easy start to be able to use JSON to do this without having to drag everything out onto the level by hand. Okay, so I hope that helps. Look into JSON. Like I said, great tool just for programming in general. And I hope this has been a helpful tip for you today. So thanks and Happy New Year.